project, which I also have to keep under 300 pages, is on Stephen Kotkin's 1,140 pages on the Soviet Union in the 1930s, Stalin 1928 to 1941. And Kotkin has spent his entire life studying this period. And surely, if there were any crimes of Stalin or significant failures of the Soviet system, surely Kotkin, who is, by the way, also a fellow of the Hoover Institution over here, the anti-communist propaganda agency, the largest in the world, institute, surely Kotkin would have found them. I made that statement also about Snyder because he had some anti-communist specialists to help him, but Snyder himself was not a specialist in the Soviet Union. Kotkin is a specialist in the Stalin period. If he can't find any genuine crimes of Stalin and has to fabricate and lie, as I show in my forthcoming book that he does, we can be pretty sure there weren't any. Now, of course, strictly speaking, you can't prove a negative like that, right? Someday somebody might turn something up that none of us have ever heard of, and that'll be a crime of Stalin, maybe. But it's about as good of evidence as we're ever going to get that the Soviet Union, that Stalin and the Soviets in his day didn't commit any crimes. So the question is, why lie if the truth is on your side? If the Soviet Union was such a big failure, why all of these falsehoods? I think they're unable to prove that the Soviet Union was a failure. And therefore, they have to, the people like Snyder and Kotkin and the Polish nationalists and others have to fabricate crimes. They have to make them up. And particularly to equate Stalin with Hitler, the Soviet Union with Nazi Germany, and communism and socialism with Nazism, right? That's the favorite equation, right? Let's equate these two things. They're all totalitarian. If you're going to do that other than just rhetorically, you have to come up with some sort of evidence, some sort of fact claim that shows that they were similar. And in fact, that's not possible. In order to do that, you have to lie about the Soviet Union. So I think that I have not written anything in the spirit in which you have, Gene has just suggested that the Soviet Union, all the positive things that they did. I've concentrated on taking these claims of crimes that are directed at Stalin and the Soviets of his day and investigating them. Okay? That's only, of course, a part of the story, right? The other part of the story is what in fact, how successful and how unsuccessful were they in industrializing, collectivizing agriculture, increasing the standard of living, defending the Soviet Union during World War II. All of the other things are advancing the position of women in society, combating racism, supporting the anti-imperialist struggle around the world, and all the other things that the Soviet Union was involved in. I haven't written about those things. Other people have, and that's a very important part of the story, right? But I have concentrated on investigating these allegations of crimes and atrocities by Stalin and the Soviets of his day. Not only those of the bourgeoisie, if you want to call it, the capitalists, but also those of Khrushchev, and also those of Leon Trotsky, okay, who makes plenty of such accusations. So that's what I've concentrated on. And they are a stumbling block. These stories of crimes and atrocities by Stalin are a stumbling block for many, many people, okay? They're not the full story, but they are a stumbling block. So what I've just passed out to you is a list of the books that I have written. Of course, it would be fine if you great if you would buy some of them and study them. Not much point in buying them and just putting them on your shelf. Buy some of them and studying them. It'd also be very helpful if you would go to your local library, wherever you have a little influence, in whatever town you live and try to get the library to acquire these books, because they're really not accessible to students and workers and others who don't come to talks like this unless they're in libraries. Okay? If they're only on the shelves of private individuals, they're not really very accessible. So my daughter, for example, who lives in New Jersey, has gone to her local libraries, the Newark Public Library, the West Orange Public Library. West Orange bought some of my books. Newark said they were out of money. They're always out of money. She donated some. Okay? That's something else you can do, right? You say, well, will you accept them and catalog them and put them in your collection if I donate to them? Sometimes libraries will do that. I don't make any money on these books. I just want you to know that. Not a cent. I'm not doing this for money. I'm sure none of us are involved in the good projects that we're involved in with any kind of hope of gain. I do this because I think it's important, and if you think it's important, and these are the kinds of things you can do. But first of all, become informed yourselves. All right? I mentioned this business about picketing the embassy or whatever Kotkin monuments are around because I'm planning to aim this talk at some other groups of people who might in fact go out and do that, right? There's a famous, well-publicized monument in Jersey City, for example, which desperately needs to be picketed and exposed. And there are monuments elsewhere to the Kotkin that falsely claim that the Soviets killed all these Poles. So we do need to get out there and have a public face for this kind of protest, but also to inform ourselves.